Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. And I was going to say that the setter's name today was new to me, 28 Degrees, but I'm wrong. 3 years ago, I did a puzzle by 28 Degrees, which featured a number of equal signs in the grid, and I'm sorry, I just don't remember it. Anyway, is it since then that region sum lines have been invented? I don't know. But this puzzle is based on region sum lines and indexing, which has become far more popular. But basically, 28 Degrees has been on a setting hiatus for a long time and has come back to the fold and has sent us this puzzle. So I'm really going to look at this and see how they have got Into the Blue. First of all, don't forget that on Patreon you can get Into the Blue in the Nurikabi world of puzzles. Blobs' wonderful Nurikabi puzzle pack features a lot of islands in seas of waterway, and it's really good fun. Every puzzle is a different variant based on that. It's an excellent collection. We do recommend that you join us on Patreon, where you can also see connections videos and the odd crossword video and so on and so forth. That is linked under the video, along with our merchandise and SVEN'S Sudoku Pad, all linked there, and all of our Patreon apps. You can find your way to them, and they do feature line Sudoku and of course our latest Fog of War Sudoku. But the first link under the video is to this puzzle, so you can click on it and give it a go, as I'm about to. And I'm going to tell you the rules now if you're going to watch along with me. Normal Sudoku rules apply. That's 1 to 9 going in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Box borders divide blue lines into segments with the same sum. So that group of cells will add up to the same as that group the same as that group, and that group. And there is global indexing. Along each row, a digit X in column Y means that digit Y in the row appears in column X. Now, that's difficult to follow, but let's follow along with the example that a 7 in row 1, column 2, which is there. For this row, that would mean, because this is column 2, that the digit 2 would appear in column 7. So that would be a 2. And in turn, this would mean that a 7, because this is in column 7, would appear in column 2. So that relationship must apply for every row. I mean, it's an interesting rule, and we always say, Simon and I, because we hear it's true, that computer programmers for some reason find indexing puzzles reasonably understandable. But for most of us, including himself and myself, they get very confusing. So we'll see how we go. Nonetheless, I'm going to give it a go and get started now and say, let's get cracking. So we've got 2 8-cell straight lines. They're interesting. Right, I'm going to quickly share with you a secret about every Sudoku that uses 1 to 9 in every row, column and box. The sum of every row, column and box is always the same. And it's always the same number. It's always 45, because that is the sum of the digits 1 to 9. So if these cells add up to 45, these ones add up to 45 minus that one. And since we know that the total of these cells is divisible by 3, because this line breaks into 3 parts of equal amount, then this, because 45 is divisible by 3, we must be taking off a number that is divisible by 3. That is 3, 6, or 9. And the same is true for this line, which splits into 3 parts, obviously. And the column, again, has the total of 45. So that is one of the digits modulo 3, if that's the right way to express it. I don't know if it is. Digits that have a remainder of 0 when divided by 3. Now, what else does that tell us? I don't know. I have a feeling this might not be able to be a 3. No? No, I mean, this line would be worth 42. It would divide into segments of 14. That one would be either 9, 5, or 8, 6. There's no problem with that. Let's try it. If this was a 9, this line is worth 36. The segments are all 12. That's not actually that difficult either. Oh, so that's not helping. Right. How about if this one was a... Let's start with, if it was a 9, we've got 12 in each segment. That would be 3 or 6. That seems very feasible. If it was a 3, this would add up to 42. We'd have 14 in each segment. I don't know. I don't think that's where to go next, but there isn't many other places. Oh, the indexing, of course. Right. So, if this was a 3, that's not going to work, because this would be a 1. And if this was a 3, the line adds up to 42, and each segment in it adds up to 14, and you can't do that with a 1 there. So that's not a 3. This is either 6 or 9, putting 1 in one of those cells. And in a total, in a segment total of either 13 or 12. Now, that's all very well. That doesn't work on this column because we've only got column indexing. We don't have row indexing in this puzzle. So, I don't know where that leaves us. And I don't know what to do in this puzzle at all. That was 6 or 9. So, if this is... I don't know. Maybe let's consider the segments along here. So if that was a 6, leaving 39 in the row, the segments have to add up to 13. This, yeah, that's interesting. That would put a 1 here. Do you know what? That doesn't work. That's really interesting. Right. If that was a 6, this pair would be either 5, 8 or 4, 9. And one of them would be a 5 or a 4, therefore, and would be indexing a 2 or a 3 into one of these cells. But remember, the line total, the segment total, has to be 13. So if that was a 6, putting a 1 here, this segment would have a 1 there, and either a 2 or a 3 there. And the other digit would have to be at least 10. No, it wouldn't. I'm miscounting. Oh, that's really annoying. 139 would work. 139 would work. This would be a 6, putting a 1 there. You'd have a 3 and a 9 here. The 3 would be indexed by a 4 or a 5 here. This would be an 8 or a 9, putting 2 into this segment. So you'd have 139 here, a 6 here. This pair could still be 8, 5 or 4, 7. No, it couldn't. It could only be 8, 5 now. And this would be 2, 4, 7. So with 5, 8 there, it would have to go, I'm literally going to write this in. So if we started with a 6, it would have to go 8, 5. That 5 would put a 3 there. We'd have this 1 and a 9 there. And presumably we can write the other digits in based on indexing. 8 sends a 2 there. 9 sends a 4 there. And that 7 is self-referential. I think actually there will always, yes, because you've noticed, I'm sure, that these indexes go in pairs in every row. There's always got to be at least one digit left over from the pairs of indexes. And that digit is going to self-reference. This 7 is referencing column 7 where it sits. Now I think this is one of those puzzles with the global indexing where we can immediately work out that there is only one global indexer per row, because 7 now, for instance, can never self-reference in any of these rows. Any of rows 1 to 8 is what I'm trying to highlight there. And therefore, they all need a different self-referencer. They need one each. And there is only one each per column. So there will be one each in each row. So every row will break up into 4 pairs that index each other and a single self-referencer. That might help later, probably won't help now. Now, the alternative to this exact arrangement is that this is a 9, which puts a 1 here, doesn't it? In a sum of, well, it's different now. It's 9 from 45 leaves 36, it's 12. So there'd be a 1 there in a sum of 12. These two would add up to 12. They would either be 8, 4 or 5, 7. So one of them would be a big number, would be a 7 or an 8. And would be throwing a 2 or a 3 into this pair along with the 1 that we're positing here. But now we're only adding up to 12. However, we've used 9 in this row now, so we can't do 1, 2, 9. We'd have to do 1, 3, 8 to make the 12 sum using that 1 and using 1 of 2 or 3 over here. Now that would be telling us that this pair wasn't using 8. This would be a 5, 7. So this cell would be the low digit, the 3, being indexed from that cell as a 7. This would be the 8 being indexed from this. Oh, that doesn't work. No, that's okay. That would be an 8. That's self-referential. Yeah, so this digit would be a 5, putting a 2 here. And this row would now read 9, 5, 7, something 2, 3, 8, 1. So 4 and 6 would be here. Now in theory they could both be self-referential, but we've just worked out that they couldn't be because we need a self-referential 4 somewhere else in the puzzle. So that would have to be 6 and that would be 4. So now I have all of the possibilities in these cells, and it's really weird that it comes down to that. I mean, that's intriguing, that tells me there must be a 5 in one of those two cells. And I can't do the same approach with column 1 because it doesn't have that indexing restriction. It's really odd. Okay, maybe I'm meant to use the fact that these columns both appear in the same 5 rows. I don't really know what I'm meant to do next at all. Maybe I wasn't meant to start with that. This is going to take some thinking about. I don't have a lot of blue lines to play with, or a lot of interesting ones in the sense of 1 digit matching against 3 is quite interesting because it limits the 1 quite hard and also limits the 3. Here I have a section of 2, a section of 2, a section of 2, section of 2, section of 2, section of 3, section of 3. That is not great. It's not great in terms of understanding what I'm doing. That's my point. Right, these can't contain a 5. Is that of any use at all? If that was a 9, then the line adds up to 36. This would be a 6, and these two would have to add up to 6. They would have to be a 4 and a 2. If that was a 6, then the n on the line is 13, and that's a 9. They would then be 3 and 1. But if it's a, so this is either 1, 3 or 2, 4 under those possibilities. But if this is a 3, and the n on the line is 14. This could be 941, or that could be a 6. Oh, then it would have to be 617, because 6 and 5 wouldn't be available for the line, for the, what am I trying to say, for the pair that was summing to 8. So they would have to be 7-1. So we are left with only a small set of pairs that this can be. It can either be 1-7, 1-4, 4-2, or 3-1. Well, it's still 4 different sets of pairs. It's not that wonderful, is it? And there's a 1-4 pair in this column, in this row, and a 6-9 pair. I hadn't seen that. I'd assumed since there were 2 possibilities in each cell and all the digits 1 to 9 are used twice each, that it would be a bit more circulatory as a set. But actually there's a 6-9 pair, a 1-4 pair, and then a slightly more difficult to use 2, 3, 5, 7, 8 quintuple. Gosh, I just don't know what to think about. That didn't really yield much. I'd love to have got rid of 3 from here, because then I'd have a 6-9 pair. Now, just think again about the 3. If it was a 3, this is 42. This group adds up to 14. Then there's 6-7-1 or 9-1-4. Yeah, there's no problem with that. They would always use a 7 if that's a 3. And otherwise, and I mean, that would sort out this line completely. Oh, that's interesting. Right, okay, if that's a 3, there is a 7 in use here. And that's now 5. And that's 8. And 15... No, hang on, this can't be 5. Oh yes, 13 is the total on the line, it can. And that's a 6 then. So if that's a 3, that has to be a 6. If it's a 9, it has to be a 6, obviously. The only way for this to be a 9 is if that's a 6. Let's work a little bit longer on whether this can be a 6. So the line total is 13, and that's a 9, and therefore this is 931 with a 6 there. This is going to have to be 8-5, and this is going to be 2-4-7. Now, what happens in the indexing? Ah, right. There's this issue with indexing and entropy, isn't there? In every set of 3 digits here, we have to have one low one from 1, 2, 3, one middly one from 4, 5, 6, and one high one from 7, 8, 9. And the case I will use to prove that is if this was a 9, no, well, let's start with if this was a 6. The n on this line would be 13, and this would be a 9. This would have to be a 1-3 pair. But where is that putting the 2 1s that it's indexing? Both into, one of them is a 1 and one of them is a 3. So one of them goes in one of those cells and one goes in one of those cells, and that breaks Sudoku rules. So that is impossible. So this cannot be a 6, because that can't be a 1-3 pair. And the lesson that I should have learned is that these 3 have to include one low, one middly, and one high. Now, the low is either 1, 2, or 3. Obviously, the middly is 4 or 6, and the high is 7 or 9. But the same is true for every 3, whether it's on a line or not in this puzzle, because they're all acting as indexes. And that that mean? What does that mean? If 6 is there, there's a 7 here. That's 5, that's 8. There'd have to be a 9 in one of those cells. It doesn't break. Right. But if this was 9, and all these segments had to add up to 12, this segment would be either 8, 8, 4 or 5, 7 and would include a high digit along with a 9 in that group. That's not allowed. So that's a 3 in the corner. That's my first digit. That's 3 in the corner, proving its position. Now, we can't have a 3 there. We've got a total on this line of 45 minus 3 is 42, divided by 3 is 14. So this is either 6, 8 or 5, 9, and they will obey the low, middly and high requirements. They're also going to use 6 or 9 as that is. So anyway, we've got 14 as the total. Now what's happening here? This is either 9, 4, 1, we can't use 5, or 6, 7, 1. So 1 is always in use here. And 2 is never in use there. 2 is going to be the low digit in this segment that adds up to 14, along with either 5 or 6 and either 7 or 8. This line is interestingly going to have one low, one middle and one high on each section as well, based on this entropy rule thing that I've remembered or deduced or whatever it is. Now, if this was 6, 7, 1, that takes 7 out of this cell. So then we get 6, 5, 8, with 7, 1 there. Got 2, 3, 4 and 9 left to use in the box. And that would be 2, 4, 9. And that would put 1s in columns 2, 4 and 9. Okay, wherever the 8 appears here to throw a 1 into column 8, it must be on this line. So there is a 1 on this line somewhere. Same is true. No. Well, I mean, 2 and 5 have to appear in those segments, and that's going to put a 1 somewhere here. And a 1 somewhere here. I don't know why I'm even marking that. I was hoping to come to some sort of add up on this line, but I haven't done it. Oh, that 3 has put a 1 here by Sudoku, by indexing. So I can take those ones out. So now there is a 1 in one of these cells, which means there is a 2 in one of those. I could have done that a different way. That 1 is so unexciting. It's depressing. Right, we've either got... Now, why do I think... Okay, is it possible for this to be a 6, 8 pair? That would put a 1 here and a 1 here. And then we would further have a 1 there. Right, if this is 6, 8, there is a 1 there, and that has to be a 4. And that makes that a 1 and that a 9. That all hangs together. If this is 5, 9, there's a 1 here, and that has to be a 4. And this is a 6, and that puts a 1 there, and that works fine. Okay, unsurprisingly, if one of those worked, the other one did too. Now that there's a 2 in that group and a 1 in that group, there must be a 3 in this group of cells, and that's going to put a 3 in this pair, because remember, each of these vertical trios has 1 low, 1 middly, and 1 high. So there's a 2 in that set, and a 2 in that set. A self-referential 2 in this set. That's a self-referential 3. I don't think that's really interesting, but nonetheless, if I'm observing anything, I'm noting it. 1, 3, 2. If that was a 7, this is a 5. And that makes this a 3. No, it doesn't. If this is a 5, it does make this a 3. Yeah, that's fine. And they become a pair. And that makes this a self-referential 7. And then 8 and 2 are referring to each other. I do find this stuff quite hard to get my head around. This is where the programmers are way ahead of me. They're seeing relationships that I don't even understand. Okay, come on, Mark. We've got some things done, but not much. Six and 9 must be used there, so they can't appear here. So there's never a 1 in those positions. Only in one case is there a 1 down here. I don't know what these pencil markings that I've done really mean. Maybe I should take them out. Maybe I should. I mean, I know there is a 1 somewhere in this column on this line, but I don't think that was helping me do anything with it. These are saying that the 1s here will either go in that column or in that column. Well, no, one of them will be self-referential in itself. So either there's a 1 in that pair or in that pair. And that is going to determine... Oh, that's quite interesting, isn't it? Or is that just a corollary of what we've got already? If there's a 4 there, that's a 1 and that's a 9. And then we've got 1, 4 here, so there must be a 1 there. That's unsurprising. I suspect if there's a 1 here, that's a 4, that's a 1, that's a 6. This is 7, 1, which proves there's a 1 there. Yeah, that's not really doing anything. Oh, goodness, I'm getting confused now. If 3 was on this line, it would be self-referential. Oh man, I don't know what's going on. We've got trios here. So we've got 3, 5, and probably 8 in this column, but I don't think it's certain. And then here we've got either 2, 5, something big, or 2, 7, something middly. It's making good progress, got stuck. 6 and 9 in these groups. What's going on there? What's going on there? Well, in terms of the 1s, the 1 in the bottom row is putting 1 in one of those positions. The 1 in row 2 or 3 is putting 1s in one of those dominoes. Putting a 1 in one of those dominoes. For a 1 to be on this line, one of these has to be an 8. That's a 6, 8 pair. Then there would be 1s in these dominoes. And that would be a 4. This is a low digit. Do I need to actually start marking low digits? There aren't many in this row where I definitely know the polarity, but that is it, in fact. That one is definitely low, just like those 2 digits. So this is a middly and a high in this pair. I don't think it's telling me anything. I honestly don't. These 3 must add up to an odd number because the column adds up to an odd number, but that group adds up to an even number. And that's even. So these 2 are 1 even and 1 odd. I mean, it's Not interesting, I don't think, as a deduction. But it is still true. Okay, let's think again about this being a 7-1 pair, which would go with 6 down here. 7, 1, 6, 5, 8. Two, 3, 4, 9 would be left to fill in this area. So the blue line here would add up to either somewhere between 5 and 7, or 11, 12, or 13. Somewhere between 5 and 7 is a bit difficult, because these two have to be different polarities. They can't be 2, 5. They must, so if we were looking for them to add up between 5 and 7, we can't use 2 or 1. It would have to be a 3, 4 pair. Wow. If this didn't use a 9, so I'm in the world in which this is a 6, and this is a 2, 3, 4, 9 set. If this didn't use a 9, it would have to be 3, 4, but that would also have to be 3, 4, and that would create a clash here. So there would be a 9 on this line. I mean, that's quite interesting. In the world in which that is a 6, the 9 in the box has to be on that line. And then these have to add up to a different combination of, I'm guessing 11 or 12, but it might be 13. I mean, it's a finding that I hadn't expected. Now, the alternative is that this is a 9, and I don't know, that makes this 9, 4, 1, and that 9 means that the n in this row is 12, and that's a 5, 7 pair, 9, 5, 7, 4, 1. So we've got 2, 3, 6, 8 at that point. And again, this can't be a 2, 3 pair. But I think now it could be a 2, 6 pair with a 3, 5 pair there. Or a 3, 6 pair with a pair adding up to 9 on the rest of the line. It's tricky. I mean, it's almost very interesting that these can't be the same pairs. But it doesn't quite do the job. I think it always means that this can't be 3 and 2. So one of 3 or 2 has to be in these cells. Oh. No, that's great. That's great. That's massive. Because wherever 3 is here, it's saying that that is 2. So they can't be here on this line. 3 and 2 have to be placed in these places, and they must always go together. They can't be on the line because we can't make that add up to 5 then. Oh, it's so clear now, and it was so absolutely not clear before. Wow, and I mean, it's going to do nothing else. That's so annoying. Except, it's going to give me 2 possible totals for this line. Again, working this out, this is either 6, 7, 1, 5, 8, and that would have to be 4, 9 equals 13. Or this is 9, 4, 1. And if it's 9, this line has a 12 sum, and that's 5, 7. And then this is a 6, 8 pair. So it either adds up to 13 or 14. That never uses the 3. So that's where the 3 is. This is either a 13 or a 14 sum in yellow, depending on whether this is 9, 4 or 6, 8. If it's 6, 8, that has to be 5, 9. If it's 6, 8, we're going 9, 5, 7 down here. That does work. Okay, I'm going to eliminate one of the possibilities, of 6, 8, one way round. And I'm going to do that by saying if that is 6, 8, this yellow pair has to be 9, 5. That's a 7, that's the high digit. This couldn't be 8. Now alternatively, this is 4, 9 in some order. And this, that's a 6. This is an 8, 5 pair. So that's 5, which is middly. This would have to be the 9. And now I've got a 6, 9 pair in the box that I wasn't expecting, and I don't know if I can use it. Well, that 6 is putting a 3 in one of those positions. Or, sorry, that's 6 or 9. Just as this 6 or 9 is putting a 3 in one of those positions. The 4 or 8 there is putting a 2 either there or there. Eight would have a 2 there and a 3 there, which would allow this to exist. 4, 9 would have a 2 there and a 3 there, allowing that to exist as a 3. 1 is definitely in one of these cells. Oh goodness, I just can't see my way through this. So let's use that. 4 or 8 is putting 2 there or there. I know I'm pencil marking and cross boxes, but I just can't see any other way of doing this at the moment. So that either goes 9, 2, 5 or 6, 2, 7. I can just do that by thinking about, right, 8 is now definitely in one of these cells in this box. And that means 2 has to be in one of these 2 cells in box 9, and therefore 2 is definitely not on this line anywhere. Is that of any interest? I'm just thinking about the total of the line. It's not really. Annoyingly, it's not. It's just not. Okay, these lines, what do they add up to? Because you've got to have 1 from each set. So it's somewhere between 1, 4, 7 and 3, 6, 9. Somewhere between 12 and 18. That's quite a wide spread. And not very useful. Well, it's not 18, because then that whole line would add up to 36. These would have to add up to 9, and they would have 2 low digits illegally amongst them. Oh, there's something about referencing that I just don't get. Indexing is so difficult to cope with. Right, there's a 1 in one of those and a 2, and they will go together wherever the 2 and 1 are. That's another of these go together things that I completely missed down here for so long. That's so interesting. It's a whole new type of relationship between these rows that I hadn't really thought about before. Oh, that 3, that is I mean, I've put in a digit and then not tried to reference it, which is daft, but actually it's a self-referencing digit, so I can't even use it. These add up to 12 or 13. They've got to use 2 different, they can't be, I can't even think of a pair that they can't be. There's got to be 1 middly and 1 high digit there. I mean, that's very blooming obvious from the fact that that's low. There's also 1 middly and 1 high digit here. There's 1 middly and 1 high one here. The high one is an 8. We know that because 8's in one of these cells. That's not interesting. 6 and 9 don't appear here. So we're selecting from 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. Putting 1s there, and either there or there, and there or there. Well, we're not going to put 1s here because this pair has to add up to 12 or 13. We're also not going to put 2s there. So these can't have a 4 in. It's almost interesting, but these can't have a 4 in. The 4 in column 1 could be here though, putting a 1 there. I don't see why that would be a problem. But the 4 in column 1, so there is a 1 in one of these 3 cells, because there must be a 4 in one of these 3. Okay, if that was, no, this is 13 or 14. It's not 12 or 13. I'm sorry, I misspoke there. This is either 8, 6, in which case that's 9, 5. And this would be either 9, 5 or 6, 8, putting 4s in those groups of cells or in those groups of cells. Not far from a proper break-in here. I mean, we've got a bit of a break-in, but not done it properly. I think once we get this bottom row, we are motoring then, surely. Well, although actually each row might be a separate entity within itself in this. So 5 or 6 there is putting a 1 somewhere here. That's the rule. 8 or 9 is putting a 1 somewhere here. We know there's a 1 there. The 1 in column 7 has to be somewhere here, putting a 7 somewhere in these cells. Totally uninteresting information. Okay, let's go back to thinking about 6 and 9 as possibilities. If that's a 6, this is 9, 4, 1, 7, 8, 5. If that's a 9, this is 1, 4. That's 6, 8. This is 2, 5, 7. Putting 1s there, there, and there. I don't know. I don't know what I meant to know. I could colour those cells since we know exactly what they are. I don't think the colouring is actually going to bear any fruit. If it did, what would be the blue fruit? Blueberries, I suppose. Right. I am totally stuck here in an ugly, messy way. Wow, really am. So, if that was a 1, putting a 4 there, that would put 1 here. Make that 8, and that 2, and that 6, and that 3. Whichever one of these is 3 has a 4 beneath it, because it can't have a 1 beneath it, or you'd be disobeying the entropy rule. So whichever one of these is a 3, putting a 9 there, has a 4 beneath it, putting a 9, well, either put it, so if it's this one, that puts 9 there and 9 there. If it's this one, that puts 6 there and 6 there. That is not doing anything. Two or 3 is the low digit in this bit of this column. In this bit it could be 1, but that 1 could also go in one of these cells. If I was allowed to write a 5 in here, now when would that happen? That would happen when this was a 6-8 pair. This would be 9, 4, 1. This would be 2, 5, 7, putting a 1 in one of those cells. don't know. I think I'm meant to be probably doing something with this line, but I cannot see what I can do with that. Can I really equate the top and bottom with numbers somehow? Just because I know there's a 1 on it, does that mean there couldn't be a 9 on the line somewhere? I don't know. Sorry, excuse me a second. That's an odd message. Okay. Come on, Mark. This pair has to add up. It's much less likely to be the 14 option, where that's 8, 6. This would be 9, 5. That would be 7. This would have to be 4, 8. Putting 1s there and there. This would be the 9, 5 option. Putting 3s there and there. If this was 9, 5, putting 3 in one of those cells, that would have to be a 2. I have a feeling this works fine, but let's just trace it through. If that's 9, 5, putting a 3 in one of those cells, that has to be a 2. Which makes that a 5, so this is a 5, 7 pair. This is 9, 5, that's a 5, 7 pair, adding up to 12 and making that 9. Making this 6, 8. Yes, it is the right way around. Very unsurprisingly, that works all right. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm so close to understanding how to progress here, and I just can't get there. It just doesn't feel like this line is of any help at this stage at all, and this one is not helping me as much as I need. Oh, this pair adds up to 13 or 14, and therefore it doesn't have a low digit. This one has to be low. I've only just worked that out. This one has to be low and is putting a 4 into one of those 3 cells. That's a strange finding. It can't be putting a 4 here, I think. Because 4 on this line would mean it would add up to 13, it would be a 4, 9 pair, but that would be a 4, 9 pair below, and the 9s would clash, so that's not a 4. So this is a 1 or a 2, putting a 4 in one of these positions. Now, if it was a 1, putting a 4 here, that would be 1, 7. You know, 1, 7, 5, 8, 4, 9, 6. It would be a 13 line. Oh, we'd know exactly what 13 line it would be. This would be 4, 9. That would be 6. 7, 8. This would be a 5. So it couldn't be 5, 8 or 9, 4. If it's a 13, it's a 6, 7 pair. If it's a 14, that's 6, 8. This is a 5, 9 pair. Good Lord, I didn't know. I theoretically knew that. That's now a 5, 6, 7, 9 quadruple. And this is a 4, 8 pair. Wow, I mean, how long have I been spending staring at this and not getting it? Right, 8, 6 come out there. This is now a 5, 9 pair. That's a 6 in the corner. Here we go. There's the breakthrough. That's a 9. This is a 13 sum. That's a 13 sum. It's 6, 7. 5, 8. Here we go. 6, 9. Now, there's only one way to fill this line. 2, 3, and I do the indexing on 1 and 4. 6 is sending a 1 there. There we go. This is a 1, 7 pair. 3, 5, 9. This is now 2, 4, 8, and we've worked out that 4 is going to have to be here, therefore. 2, 8 pair there. This is a 1. Wow. I mean, I'm so angry with myself in a way, but on the other hand, so pleased that we're actually getting somewhere now. This is now a 1, 5, 9 set, and that one can't be 1. So that is putting a 2 either there or there in the row. These are putting 1s in positions 2 and 8. So one of those is a 1. These are not 1s. These are putting 1s in positions 5 and 9. One of those, one of those. Okay. 4 and 8 is where 3s are going into those columns. 4 is done. It's putting a 1 there. Right, I don't know why, but I am going to highlight where I've got definite colours that I can put in. Now, these aren't 1s, obviously. Yes, that's not a 3 now, and that's not a 2. In fact, we've done this 4 and 9, so we can just write in the 2 and the 3. Now there's got to be a 3 in one of those cells, which means one of these is 6 or 7. They're also putting a 3 there. 4, 9, 2, 3. So in this row, we've got 1, 5, 6, 8, 7. I don't know. This pair adds up to 13 without a 9. It's either 6, 7 or 5, 8. 7, 2, 4, 3, 2. I mean, there are so many implications from these digits that I'm sort of putting in. I could easily be missing some. This is putting a 2 in columns 1, 5, and 9. So 2's there. This is putting 3's. Yeah, I've done that in 6 and 7. Okay, maybe I've done all the implications irritatingly. This is putting 1's in columns 1 and 7. So one of those is a 1. Now, is there any way of using the information about there only being one self-referential in each row? Not yet, I don't think, irritatingly. These digits don't include a 1. They include 5, 6, 8, and 9. And all I know is that 1 is even and 1 is odd to leave these adding up to even. That's irritating. That one can't be 9. So 5, 6, or 8 is putting an 8 in one of these cells. Yeah, that's not how to do it. I know I've displayed no knowledge of how to do the puzzle yet, but I am still trying to work it out. Good grief. No, I don't know. I'm stuck again. That's so annoying. Right. 2, 5, 6, 8, 9. So 1, 3, 4, 7 are all in use on this line that has to add up to 2 equal segments. And 1 is in that group and 3 is in that group. 4 and 7 are on the line. I'm just aide-memoiring them here. 1, 3, 4, 7 are on the line. And 2 other digits, one of which is middly and one of which is high. If the 1 went with 4 and the 3 went with 7, the difference between the other 2 digits would have to be 5. And they're being selected from 9865. That's not possible. Does that mean that the 1 has to go with the 7? If the 3 went with the 7, no, it could be 3, 4, 7, adding up to 14, and 1, 5, 8, adding up to 14. So it doesn't quite mean the 1 has to go with the 7. Ah, that's annoying. That's nearly a breakthrough. Okay, 1, 3, 4, 7, that was an aide memoir cell. 1, 3, 4, 7 are on the line, along with another middly digit and another high one. The difference between 1 and 3, which must be on different parts, is 2. The difference between 4 and 7, which must be on different parts, is 3. I've just worked out the difference between the other two digits can't be 5 because these are the only other digits available. So it must be 3 minus 2. The difference between the other two digits on the line is 1. Do you see what I'm doing there? I'm saying that 1 is on that part of the line and 3 is on that part. So that's a difference of 2 between the purple, or between the pink and the green sections of the line, from the 1 and the 3. If I was to put the 4 and the 7 on separate parts, that's a difference of 3. Now, I don't know whether that difference goes the same way as the 2 difference between 1 and 3, or the other way. But it would leave a difference of either 5, which is impossible given the remaining digits, or 1, which is actually also impossible. I know you could have 5, 6, or 8, 9, but they would be from the same polarity groups. And we need different polarity groups. So, what I now know is that the 4 and 7 are not in separate parts, they go together. And if they went on the green bit of line, it would only add up to 8, 12. And you couldn't make this add up to 12 using different bits, different polarity numbers. So this is 3, 4, 7. That is an incredible method of progress. That is so extraordinary to me. So they do add up to 14. This group adds up to 14, including a 1. We need a pair that adds up to 13 that isn't 4, 9 or 7, 6. It is 1, 5, 8. And now I can write in 6 and 9 down here. And that is a thrilling discovery. That elevates this puzzle to absolutely amazing to me. That's really strange, but it's worked. And it's been unique. Like it's left only this possibility. Now, indexing. So that is saying that 8 goes in either position 4 or 7. This is saying that 8 goes in position 3, 4 or 7. Oh, I see. It's putting 8s in these places. This is putting 8s in positions 1, 5, that's the important one, and 8, which is down there. I mean, I don't really need this corner marking, but 8 in one of those means this is a 6, 7 pair. And that is putting 4s in these positions. 2 4s into those positions. Also, it's making that a 6, 7 pair, which makes this a 6, 7 pair. That's putting 3 and 4 definitely into those 2 cells. This is 4 or 5, just by Sudoku. 3 and 8 are up there, apparently. And that's putting the digit 4 into one of those 2 cells. I mean, now I'm just going to be missing the indexing implications of everything I've done because there are so many things I've done. I just don't know. 6 is now in one of those 2 cells by Sudoku, and that forces this cell to be 6 or 5, which is weird. This must now be high, 7 or 8, and that's putting a 6 in, well, it's there. It's in position 8, right. That 9 is putting 8 there. And this is a 1, 5 pair, which are putting 7s in that group and that group. And now there's a 7 in that group, which requires a 6 in one of those cells. That requires a 6 in one of these, which requires a 9 in one of these. Is this now a 3, 4, 9 set? Yes, it is. Because 4 is in there, isn't it? And this is a 2, 5, 8 set. This is 3, 4, 9. The central one can't be 9 because it's in a 3, 4 pair. That's 4 or 9. Now we're going to get a look at this line in a moment, and that's going to do more indexing, hopefully. Now, first of all, I don't know, I can't resolve these yet, as far as I know. Those were the new digits I got. That's yellow. Okay, 6, 7, 1, 2, 9. This is 3, 4, 5, or 8, and it's putting a 4 there, 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 or there. Okay, what's this? Can't be 3, 2, 5, or 8. So let's write in 1, 4, 6, 7, 9, and it's putting a 5 in one of these cells. Can't rule any of that out. So this pair, I mean, that's a variety, 6 possible sums there. 6, 9, 11, 14, 17, and 12. 6, 9, 11, 12, 14, 17. The trouble is this can add up to 6. Can probably add up to all of those sums, even 17. Oh, that's maddening. Right, 3, 4, 9, 8, 1. These are from 2, 5, 6, 7. I don't know what to do next. It was a big old breakthrough, but 2, 6, and a high digit, which is 7 or 9. Now this digit can't be 6 or 7 because of this pair that we formed. So that's 2 or 9. Up here, 1 and definitely 5, and either 6 or 7. That one can't be a 1 by Sudoku. And these are trying to put 9s in there, or somewhere in this area. Oh, and none of them are putting a 9 there. So there's no 6. So that's 1, 5, 7. Yes, we did work out there had to be a 6 in this group. I haven't used that. I have now. 2, 6, 9. 1, oh, this doesn't work. 1, 5, 7 there. 3, 4, 7 there. Oh, no, 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 no. Well, did I get this wrong then, when I put 6 definitely in those cells? Let's go back to that bit. See, if I'm right at this, okay, I'm going all the way back to when I made this line in column 8, 3, 4, 7 at the top, 1, 5, 8 below. Let's go all the way back to that. When did I do that? Because what I didn't notice then was something about 7. Right, it was here, wasn't it, with these colours? Right, 3, 4, 7 there, and 7 there. One of these is a 7. So it's nonsense of me to try and make it a 6. That is putting a 9 in one of those positions. 7, 8, 9. Right. I did some, I mean, I must have done something wrong. Was it to do with this? I said this couldn't be a 5, 8 pair at some point because this is putting 8 not into column 4, and nor is that. So 8 is impossible there. That is a 6, 7 pair. Let's do that again. And they are putting a 4 into one of these cells. That's still true, or 2 of these cells, in fact. 2, 7, 3 and 4 are this side. Now I've put 9 on this side already. Why have I done that? Because of the 7 here. So this is a 3, 4, 9 triple. That's okay. And that can't be 3 and that can't be 4. This is a 2, 6, 7 triple. And that is okay. That is right. What's more, the 6, 7 pair is looking at that cell, making it a 2. That's a big bit of business. That's making that an 8 and that a 2. I don't know how I went wrong, but I have fixed it. Those 2s are low. Now, what have these done anything? Yes, that 8 is putting a 1 here. That's specifically what it's doing. These are putting an 8 in one of those cells as well as in one of their own. These are putting 7s in 3, 4 and 9. Okay. Also now got a 6, 7 pair in each of these rows, 4, 5 and 6. That's not going to do anything else therefore. But I've got Sudoku 1, 1 and that's now a 1. And that is putting a, well, that's doing that too. It's just doing indexing that I should have done myself. Right, my sincere apologies. 2 is not now in those cells, it must be here. That's putting a 5 here. That 9 is putting that 2 there. I could have done that by indexing, but I didn't because I don't spot indexing. But I do spot Sudoku. That's now an 8. And that's, well, I spot some of it. Little bits of it I spot. That 8 is saying is self-referential. That 5 is saying that this is an 8. 6, 7, 1, 8, 2. We've got 3, 4, 5 in the middle row still to go. That is 4 or 5, but it can't be 4 because that would put 5 here. So that's 5. These are 3, 4, and 9 in some order. And this top one can't be 3, that can't be 9, that can't be 4. Okay. These 6 and 7 are probably, no, they're not resolved. They're placing 9. That 2 is known to be doing that 5. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. Right, 6 is in one of those cells, making this 5 or 6. 9 is now in one of those cells, along with a middly digit, which is either 4 or 6. And these cells are from 3, 4, 5, 8. Now, what do I know about this line? Either adds up to 9 or 14. If it was 14, that could be 5, 9, or 8, 6. If it was 9, we could have all sorts of combinations, 8, 1, 5, 4, or 3, 6. So that doesn't really get anything done. 7 is in one of these cells, putting a 5 in one of these. That's interesting. How do I know that these can't contain 7? That was because of... How do I know that they can't contain 7? This is a sort of mistake that is very easy to make. Oh, because they've got a 9 in, and that's the high digit. Okay, that's all right. It's not a mistake. There is no 7 there, so there is a 7 down here, and that puts a 5 in one of these cells and makes this an 8. Because it had to be high anyway. Yeah, all right. All right. I don't spot indexing ever. But anyway, that's a 1, 5 pair. This is now 2, 6, 8. This is 1, 5, 9. Okay, this is all correct now. 4, 9, 2, 1. These are from 5, 7. Oh, that's a naked single. 2, 5, 8, 3 in the column, 4, 9, 6 in the row, and 1 in the box. That is a 7. That's putting 5 there. That makes this a 1. That makes this 7 and 1. That's an 8 to finish the row. 4, 5, 6 in this triple. All of those are the same colour in my scheme. Those two are orange, though that's yellow, that's orange. I don't know why I'm still doing the colouring, really. Just to make sure I have blue, yellow and orange, I guess, in every segment, every vertical segment. Right, 5, 1, 8. Okay, now let's get up. It's this line that's going to key rows 2 and 3. It's the only thing that's going to separate them, but it's very difficult to do this line. This is putting a 6 either there or there. Yeah, I mean, these just don't resolve automatically. Do these? No, I don't think they do. This either goes 4, 6, 5 or 5, 4, 6. So 2 and 7 are in this group. Putting 6s there and there, that's very unsurprising. And going with a middly digit that is either 5 or 6. Oh goodness, how am I meant to do this? So close to a finish, that can't be 1. 5 and 4 would be 9. 5 and 9 would be 14. Why does one of those, does the 14 not work? If that was 8 and this was 6. It's only the middly digits. Because of this uncertainty, it's the middly digits up here that I don't know how they work. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Oh, maybe there's some implication. If these are sorted one way, does that have an impact on the 6s and 7s? Which actually resolves these somehow. That's really strange, but it might do. If that's a 4, that makes this a 6, doesn't it? That's what it does. I mean, it takes me that long to even see that, which makes that a 7, 6, 7, 6, which makes that a 9. I don't know. I don't see how that does have any impact on sorting out the 4, 5, 6 triples. And without that, I don't see how I'm deciding on this. Maybe there are ramifications up here. So if that's a 3, this is 4. That's 8. Which makes this 3, unsurprisingly. I don't see how that has an impact on this. 6 there begets a 5 here. That's so strange. I don't know how this last interaction works. I don't know. I don't even have a view on how one thing can affect another to resolve this. I don't feel like I've missed anything in the prior indexing. This is going to put an 8 in position 4 or 7. I mean, all of these are sort of, they're just doing their jobs. They're just saying where digits can be. Oh, this is saying that 9, yeah, goes into 1, 5, or 9. It's all about this line, and I don't know how that works at all. There are so many possible pairs of 9 or 14 sum on this line. 3, 6, 5, 4, 8, 1, they're the 9s. And the 14s are both 8, 6 and 5, 9. I suppose this can't be a 4, isn't that thrilling? There must be a digit that this can't be as well. It's not 4. 8, 6, 5, 9, 8, 1, 5, 4. No, I don't think there is a digit this can't be. That's really strange. Okay, that's an imbalance that's worth focusing on a bit. Can I find some digit in this row that is mandated? 1, no. 2, no. 3, I mean, definitely not. And the only digit I took out there was a self-referential 4 here, which isn't very helpful. Self-referential digits, there's a 6 either there or there. We've done 7, 8. It's going to be a 9. That's not an interesting target. Goodness gracious, what's going on? It's all about this line. There's no other rules or anything. We mustn't have 4 and 6 in that in this group. Is that of any interest at all? If that was a 5, this would be 9 or 4. And this would be putting a 4 there. Ah, so 5, 4 doesn't work. Because a 5 there puts a 4 here. So this can't be 5. Is that? No, it can be. 5, 9 does work. If that's 5, that's 4, that's 9, that's 6. No, then there's no 1 here. There has to be a low digit here. So this can never be a 5 somehow, because it puts a 4 there and either a 4 or a 9 here. Okay, that's not a 5. Right, if this is a 3, then we're making 9, not 14, then that's a 6. That would have to be a 1. If this is a 3, well, now we can reduce the possibilities here. If that's a 3, this is a 6. If that's an 8, this is a 6 or a 1. So it's not 4 or 9 anymore. That's quite interesting. So 9's in one of these cells, putting 5 into one of those, takes 5 out of there. This is 1 or 6, putting a 5 either there or there. Not here. If 5 was there, that's 4. This is a 3-8 pair. I don't know. I mean, at least we've narrowed it down a bit. I don't think we're there, though. There are still 3 combinations here that work. Now, for that to be a 1, that's an 8, which is putting 4 here and 5 here. For this to be a 1, that's an 8. And that's a 4. Is that of any interest? I feel like changing this digit only affects the rows from 4 to 9 and nothing else. Doesn't even affect those, actually. I don't think it does. So we know that 9 is in one of those cells, putting 5 in one of those. Is it blindingly obvious? I'm an hour and a quarter into this puzzle and I'm really sort of stuck again. 5 is definitely in one of those cells, putting 4 definitely in one of those. This can't be a 4, because that can't be a 5. If that's a 4, that's a 5. Then we've got 2, 6, 7 here, 3, 8 there, 9, 1 here. And that can only work one way round, 8, 3, 9, 1. So what was that based on? That was based on for this to be a 5. Then we get an 8, 1 here. For 5 to be in one of these cells, put 6 in one of these. I don't know what that means. Okay, the difficult one is 4 in this column and 5 in this column. They both have to be partners at the top for that to be the case, if they're not to be partners here, basically. 5, 4 there would put 7 here, 9 here, 8 here. This would be an 8, 7, 9 triple. That would be 6 and that would be 2. That seems fine. Oh, I'm getting very annoyed with myself. Okay, if that was 8 and that was 8, that would force these to be 3 and 4. That would be a 7, which would put 8 here. That's exactly where it would have to go. If that's 8, that's an 8. If that's 3, okay, I'm now thinking, how can this ever be 3? That would put 4 here. And make both of these 8. That's right, isn't it? If this was 3, this would be a 4. And by Sudoku, both of these would be 8. And that's no good. So this is not 3. And the 3 in this column is now definitely here. This line can't add up to 4. That's no good. So that's a 6. Here we go. And I don't know why that is so hard to see. But my goodness, it was. Now, that 4 is referring to 6. So they all get done. This is just crazy how hard I found this. Sorry, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6. They're all done. Take 6 out of those cells. Start using the indexing that I've just done here. And 5 can't be there. This has to be a 9 now. That's a 1. Right. 5, 9. I'm hopefully doing this by Sudoku because I'm so bad at the indexing stuff, as you've seen. Maybe I don't take on any more indexing puzzles after this. It's so difficult to me. 5 and 9 there. That's not 5, so 5 is there. That is putting a 6 there. Come on, there must be indexing that this is doing. That 3 is saying that this is a 4. That's what it's doing. Right. 7, 6, 2, 6, 8, 2. And I'm going to uncolour rather than colour everything. Oh, I don't know what I just did there. Let's uncolour the grid and put in a 2 here. Yes. Oh, that's so hard. 8 solves in 25 days. I'm not surprised at all. I find that very, well, I'm relieved actually. Maybe people just haven't discovered the puzzle, but I find that very difficult. Very interesting puzzle. Thank you, 28 Degrees, and sorry I displayed such ineptitude throughout. Tell me about your solves and how you found it, because I'll be fascinated. Bye for now.